I hope you've been practicing this. The rudiment round there. The different variations that we've got. If I take the same kind of sticking, which is a right, left. Okay, now, just on the drums alone, now, obviously, what I am doing, and you've probably spotted it, a little bit more dynamics within that particular exercise. Well, I was, because at the end of the day, dynamics is what music is. Sometimes we need to play with a velocity where everything's quite like this, but sometimes we need the dynamics in there to make it far more musical. So what I'm trying to do there is different dynamics within that particular sticking, and just trying to make it feel the best it possibly could within that situation. So like the situation before, where I used more of a, and like Dave Grohl uses, all the beats had the same velocity. That was the actual attitude that he wanted to deliver from that fill. We take the same fill, and I deliberately want the dynamics to be slightly different. Similar type of thing, but I'm going. So I've got one coloration there. I could use that same dynamic approach. I've now brought another drum in, so I'm just moving slightly. I'm just giving a different flavour to the same kind of technique. Obviously, we can then do so in your own time, experiment around the drums just to see how you can actually use that particular technique to its full capacity, and then you've got enough variations on that theme, and now your fills are starting to get more ingredients in them. We can then make it a little bit more funky, and because of the weak sound of a hi-hat, in other words, no depth to it like a drum, use the same technique and use the accent on the second right hand. So it'll be right, 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 left, right, 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 left, hi-hat, splash. This is in fact my little Pitbull angry little splash. You could have a nice little delicate 10-inch. If you're into that softer kind of approach. But I'm going to angry it up. And my left hand plays the last beat, quite loud, on the snare drum. So the nature of the hi-hat is going to give me a dynamic without me necessarily playing one. Of course, the china or the splash is going to give its own dynamic because of the nature of the particular part of the instrument. And the snare drum gives its own dynamic. So in a way, I haven't got to force the dynamics. I just play that kind of thing, and then I get this magical thing. So again, we get something quite tasty. And as I said, because of the nature of this really hitting out, if you had a little 10-inch splash, give it a little bit more of a softer approach, obviously, it sounds really cool. We can then move the right hand, instead of hitting there, onto the tom-tom. So can you see how the picture's transforming now? If I take you back a few minutes ago, quite a few minutes now, because I've been going on, I was explaining about the importance of singles and doubles, that you wouldn't be able to do that technique very well if your right hand, or your left hand, but your right hand that's playing the doubles when we're starting this particular exercise with the right hand, isn't very good. All of this stuff you won't be able to do. But look what I've got out of one particular technique. I've got all these flavours. Now, if you get 10 techniques, look now the fills and the colorations and the uses of the kit, because it's another thing that people tend to do, is they'll use the kit in a certain fashion. You don't use the kit in a certain fashion. It hasn't got brains. It's not going to walk off. It's not going to do anything. What's going to actually happen is they're going to stay there, and you can explore different ways of doing the same kind of technique all around the kit, just to find out whether it's practical, whether it sounds good, whether it doesn't sound good. And you're adding all of these lovely ingredients to your playing. So, as I said, I've just done the right, 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 left. I'm now going to move the right hand from the little china to the tom-tom. Yeah, it sounds pretty cool, and it's starting to happen quite nicely, and I'm really getting into it. Now, the final one, which is slightly more harder at the moment, is we use exactly the same technique again, except we're going to hit a tom-tom, the first two parts of that exercise. We're going to play on a tom-tom. We're then going to play the third beat with a cymbal and the bass drum, and then play the last beat on the snare drum again. So the technique again is right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Exactly the same technique. The only thing I'm introducing now is the fact that my hand now has to move a bit more, and now the right leg has to sync up with the crash of the right hand. And it sounds like this. What I'll do is I'll play a couple on the snare drum only, so you get a feel for that sticking again. And I'll play the same sticking as I said before, using the tom, cymbal with the bass drum, and then the snare drum. Okay, so it's this kind of thing. I just thought I'd throw that 16 thing in just for good merit, because see what happens, you see, when you play, you're supposed to, well, I just can't help it. What's supposed to happen is all this musicality comes out, and you just have to go for it. And that's what you've got to remember. You're never wrong for making a mistake if it's real, if it comes from the heart. That's where music comes from, the heart, not from the head. You learn from the head, it transfers to the heart. Remember that. Write it down, and I want it everywhere. On a dinner plate, toilet seat, all over the place. Now, what we're going to do now is, I just throw myself there. Another little thing we want to try and do with that particular exercise is the last little one, try and hit the bell of the ride. So we're going to go right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right. Okay? So it's right, left, hi-hats, try and hit the bell of the ride, and then the snare drum. So I shall play a couple of exercises here, and then we'll move over to there so you can hear it in context. Here we go. Same technique at the end there. I chose to go into a subdivision of triplets, and then I was able to put that in at that speed because my technique allowed me to. So hopefully that gives you an insight, and all that information out of that one little fill idea that came from Billy Cobham and then Dave Grohl, and it's a wonderful little technique. And because of the shortness of the roll, if you want to call it little roll when you subdivide it, that's the beauty of what we do on the drums. Most of the time, they're short little compact rolls, the tasteful little things that help us to swing along any kind of drum fills.